Hey everybody, trade deadline day is here, and we at the Hockey Writers are going to be doing some breaking news pieces for all the biggest trades. I'm joined by Zach today, and we're going to be talking about Anthony Beauvillier being traded from the Penguins to the Washington Capitals in exchange for a second-round pick. So this is the first deal of the day. There's a few more that's probably going to be done by the time we're done recording this. But Zach, what are your initial thoughts on this deal?
I love it for Washington. It adds a depth guy into your bottom six and a guy like Beauvillier. And for both sides, really, though, like it's the seller's market at this year's deadline. I love that they got a second-round pick for Beauvillier. Maybe in other years past, it's like a fourth-round pick or a fifth-round pick and a good two-way guy for Washington as well. A team that clearly has cup aspirations. And you could say all you want about, oh, they're overperforming expectations. Well, if overperforming expectations is having one of the best point totals in the league the entire season, by all means, sign me up. I love this trade for Washington. This shows me that they're trying to round out the roster. And all in all, it's just a great deal for both teams. And for Pittsburgh side of it, I mean, I wonder if this is the start of a fire sale or maybe they're going to be a little bit more quiet. We'll see throughout the day.
Yeah, so Beauvillier, 63 games played this year, 13 goals, 20 points. That's pretty on par for his career average on his points. Obviously, the last few seasons haven't been great. Last year, he played on three teams. He was dumped twice between from Vancouver to Chicago and then Chicago to Nashville. So not sure what kind of happened there, why he seemed to be the casualty to go, but he couldn't really find his footing anywhere. But now, I mean, he's had a good year with the Penguins, and he's played in the top six. Spent some time playing alongside some really good players, and he's been doing pretty well. He's a good, like, kind of two-way player. Not a ton happens when he's on the ice. Like, he's not going to drive the offense, but he's also going to shut down quite a bit of it. He's not a pure third-line shutdown role player, but he just fits in kind of anywhere in the lineup. So where do you think he's going to fit into the Capitals lineup with this?
It's either going to be third or fourth line minutes. Sonny Milano still is on LTIR. Don't know how long he's going to be out. Don't know if it's season-ending injury or whatever. But I do think that filling into that bottom six role and going in there with the Taylor Radish or even a Nick Dowd, a Duhaime, like kind of playing that role and being a guy where when there's a big defensive zone draw, maybe he's out there. And he's in the 63rd percentile right now in overall defense throughout the league this season, which is a pretty decent mark. And for Washington, I do think that throwing him on that third or fourth line would be the right call.
Yeah, like you said, in the bottom six, and their top six is working so well this year. Mm-hmm. Like you mentioned, kind of they might be overperforming a little bit, but they've done it all season, so maybe it's not overperforming. Maybe that's just where they are.
Yeah, and you look at Washington, like on paper, outside of Alexander Ovechkin, who is on a ridiculous goal pace right now, he'd be on pace for 60 goals, if not for that brutal leg injury on Thanksgiving. This team doesn't have like that elite player that can drive the offense and can put the puck in the net at will. But again, team chemistry sometimes is more important than having that superstar player. And McMichael and Dylan Strome have had great seasons. Tom Wilson has been a very underrated player for this team, coming off of, I think it's his first or second year on that new extension he signed last summer. And then also Pierre-Luc Dubois, who they traded for him over the summer, and he's been great for them. So everybody in this lineup is contributing in that top six, and I think that this is a trade that you could have seen coming from a mile away.
Yeah. Is this the kind of deal that you think that the Capitals should have been doing? I mean, you look at a team that's first in the league and just a train of a team right now. Do you try and make a big ad and risk kind of making some noise in that dressing room and making some big changes, or do you just go with kind of the depth option who's going to really improve your bottom six? Like, do you think that this is the kind of deal they should have made?
This is the exact deal that I thought they should have made. And you don't need to add anything on your blue line because, frankly, I think their blue line is one of, if not the best blue line in the league. And then let's say you want to take a swing at a guy like Mikko Rantanen or Brock Nelson before he got traded, or maybe a Raquel Still, like the vibes are so high in Washington. Maybe if you trade away a certain player or bring in a new player, or even like a Mikko Rantanen, I know he's going to want to sign an extension the second he gets traded and do a sign and trade, but you can mess up the team chemistry as a whole, and all of a sudden this team starts stumbling down the stretch going into the playoffs now, or first round exit, and get upset by a team like the Rangers, Bruins, Senators. You guys get the point.
Yeah, for sure. And so for Pittsburgh, I mean, it's like you mentioned, is this going to be the start of a fire sale today? Is everything going to be gone? Bringing in a second round pick makes a lot of sense. They don't have a fantastic prospect pool. I mean, they added a lot of quantity with the Jake Gensel trade last year. They brought in some pretty decent prospects, but none of those blue chip guys. And you're not going to get a blue chip guy with a second round pick most of the time. But this is going to be pretty well a third round pick when all is said and done. But do you think, like, should they have looked for more? Are you surprised by the return? What are your thoughts on the return for the Penguins?
I'm not surprised by the return. You look at this year, a second round pick feels like it's valuable, and it almost feels like teams view a second round pick as almost worthless in a sense, where if you're a team like the Washington Capitals or like the Minnesota Wild, for example, you don't really care about second round picks to an extent because they have an under 50% chance of that prospect even playing an NHL game, let alone being an actual like everyday NHL player in your lineup. So giving a second round pick to improves your depth, and then with the Penguins getting the second round pick, it works well for both situations, because if I'm the Penguins, I'm looking to add as much draft capital as possible, because I get you have Sidney Crosby and Malkin and even Erik Karlsson, who's been great offensively, although his defense is non-existent. You still want to at least prepare for the life after Sidney Crosby and after Malkin and start acquiring draft capital. And who knows, maybe you hit on a couple of these draft picks and in 5 years, they're NHL-ready players.
Yeah, for sure. So that's the first deal of the day. We're going to have a ton more content coming your way on the Hockey Writers YouTube channel. Make sure to check out thehockeywriters.com for all of the latest breaking news, some analysis, trade grades. Everything is going to be available on the website. And make sure to check out the Substack, because all of the stuff on the website gets shared right to Substack in your email. And we'll probably see you very soon. Thanks for checking this out.